Hi, I'm Jackie Plater. I'm going to take you through the first elements of your portfolio, the front sheet and the professional development plan. The front sheet needs to be completed thoroughly. You can enter text boxes and there are selections. Make sure you complete the date of declaration and check off each of the elements that you've completed through the year, along with which rotation you completed them in. The aim of the Professional Learning and Development Plan is to help you to plan and prioritise your learning. In the first element, you identify your areas of strength and justify them. It's very important that you try to be specific. The more specific you can be, then the more helpful that this element will be to you. The aim is that when we've identified an area of strength, then this isn't something that we need to continue to work on as strongly. Other things might be more of a priority. And also, by acknowledging our strengths, then we can try to remember those behaviours and take them forwards to the next placement. So try to make this as specific, and your justification, try to give a couple of examples to really help you to focus on why those are strengths and what elements you need to repeat. The next element of the Professional Learning and Development Plan is where you identify areas that you want to improve, create some goals, and identify some strategies by which you're going to achieve them. You will find that this is easier to do if you look at the Assessment of Physiotherapy Practice, the APP, and try to focus on what you need to do for the patient. Try not to make it something abstract like knowledge gathering. Try to make it something specific that you will need to do to be able to be successful as a physiotherapist. Relate it strongly to practice, and you'll find that these goals will be much, much easier to write. Make sure that your goals are smart. They need to be timed. They need to be measurable. And you need to be able to achieve them. They need to relate to what you are going to need to do in practice. When considering your learning strategies, you need to think about the area that you want to improve and your goal, and think about how you're going to achieve that. What knowledge or what things you need to rehearse or practice, what you need to demonstrate, how you can remind yourself to make sure that this actually happens in practice. You want to be as specific as possible. Just saying that you're going to revise, not saying how, isn't necessarily going to help you to improve and to achieve your goal. Likewise, just saying that you're going to read or observe isn't necessarily going to help you to focus. What exactly are you going to read? What will you do with the information once you've read it? And when you're observing, what specifically are you wanting to observe for? The more specific that you can be with your learning strategies, the more likely you are that they will help you to improve and be a useful resource for you. At midway, you will need to reflect upon your achievement of the goals. And it's also an opportunity to reflect on whether or not the learning strategies that you identified you have used, or whether you've gone astray, or whether maybe the area to improve wasn't actually a priority after all, or whether you need to do something else to help achieve it. Or indeed, whether your learning strategies have been so successful, you've achieved your goal and you are now able to move on to something else. In this area, we consider things that may limit your ability to learn, that may affect how successful you are in achieving your goals. Things like stress or anxiety or relationships, or distractions, time management issues may be things that impact on your ability to be successful in your learning. And we want to make sure that we consider that very carefully and think about how we're going to avoid that becoming an issue. So, for example, with anxiety, it may be that you want to do some relaxation techniques. There are lots of mindfulness apps and things like that that can be helpful. It may be that if you are concerned about relationships, you address that really and think about how you're going to communicate to limit that effect. And again, at midway, you have an opportunity to review whether or not these really were barriers and if the strategies that you have are effective or if you need to consider something else. This is the portfolio mark sheet. When we're marking your professional learning and development plan, the areas that are relevant are assess your own performance, accurately identify areas for improvement in response to feedback, plan learning and development, and professional behaviour in documentation and task completion. Tackling your first professional learning and development plan can be daunting. We have some resources on Blackboard to help. It is a good idea to get familiar with the APP. This is your main assessment form whilst you're in practice, and the performance indicators for the APP. This is the assessment of physiotherapy practice, the APP. These are the criteria on which you will be marked. Each criteria has performance indicators, and I'll show you those now. These are the performance indicators of the APP. They might help you to identify what you need to do to be successful in practice. So becoming familiar with them and considering them and thinking about whether or not you can achieve these things will help you to identify your strengths and your areas to improve. To help you to understand the APP and the performance indicators, and to help you to understand how and where some students can go wrong or some strategies to help you to learn, I created this document, and I'll show it to you now. It does look like a big document, although really it wouldn't take that long if you were to just read it through, but it is much better navigated through slideshow. In slideshow, all the links work. These are the areas of the APP that you are going to be assessed on. If we choose intervention, one area that many students struggle with would be to be an effective educator. These are the performance indicators for being an effective educator. We can choose one. For example, discusses expectations of physiotherapy management and its outcomes. It will give you a good understanding of what's required to be able to do it and some strategies to try to help you. Within the document, you'll find that there are other links to some of these end pages which have a few things for you to consider or a few strategies that might be useful. To help you navigate, you can always return to start. I hope that you find the document useful. In addition to the APP and the APP strategy document, some portfolio guidelines have been written for you, and this provides some examples. It's very important that you don't plagiarise those guidelines, as we are very aware of what's in them. Here are the professional portfolio guidelines. As you can see, some examples have been given to help you to understand the structure that we are expecting. Please use the guidelines, but make sure that you use your own language. Keep it professional and avoid any colloquial or mobile phone text type language. Before each element, the portfolio guidelines also give you some things to think about and consider. You'll also find this recording will be uploaded to Blackboard. Good luck completing your professional learning and development plan. I hope you found this helpful.